Tonight on America's Hope, we focus on that dramatic daylight rescue that the Israeli Defense Forces conducted to rescue 4 hostages who were taken into captivity by Hamas terrorists on October 7th. All that and more on America's Hope. It starts right now. From the NTD Global headquarters in New York, I'm Kelly Wright, and this is America's Hope. Good evening. Thanks for joining us this hour. So over the weekend, Israel Defense Forces conducted a dramatic daytime rescue of 4 hostages. And in Washington, D.C., thousands of Pro Palestinians marched around the White House demanding a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in the Middle East trying to broker a deal for the fighting to end. So there's a lot going on to discuss how America and Israel have to work together in order to bring peace to the Middle East. But we get back to that dramatic rescue. IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari stated this: Israel Special Forces conducted a complex hostage rescue mission and successfully rescued 4 hostages from Hamas captivity in Gaza. Noah Argamani, Almog Meyer John, Andrei Kozlov, and Shlomi Ziv were rescued on June 8th after spending 8 months in captivity since they were brutally abducted by Hamas terrorists on October 7th at the Supernova Music Festival, which became the scene of a massacre when Hamas terrorists and Palestinian militants carried out a gruesome surprise attack on Israel kibbutzim and cities along the Gaza border. We're going to discuss the rescue tonight and a lot more. In fact, later in our show, we will meet Eli Wortman, a man who witnessed the October 7th attack on his kibbutz, and another man, an American, who moved to Israel years ago. Jonathan Feldstein will describe what his life has been like living in Israel and also tell us that his son now serves in the Israel Defense Forces. But first, we go to Israel to discuss the latest developments with member of the Knessett, Sharren Haskell. Sharren, thank you for joining us this hour. I want to ask you first and foremost, what was your reaction to the dramatic rescue that took place in daytime by a special forces unit of the IDF to rescue those 4 hostages?
Wow, Kelly, I was just so happy. I couldn't stop crying. Tears were falling down, and it was just the most incredible thing to know that some of our daughters and sons and parents are back home, and they were rescued from those dungeons of Hamas where they were abused physically and emotionally.
It was really quite a dramatic rescue taking place in the broad daylight, Sharren, and you're there joining me from the Knesset right now in Jerusalem. And look, Israel has stated all along from a government perspective and even from the Israel Defense Forces, they have stated all along that Hamas terrorists actually build their tunnel system under civilian homes, hospitals, and schools. And following the completion of the IDF examinations of where they were able to rescue these 4 hostages who were held in captivity, they, according to our reports, were able to confirm that Abdullah al-Jamal, an operative in the Hamas terrorist organization, actually held the hostages captive in his home in Knessett. Talk to me about this.
Wow. So first of all, it's important to say that if there's one thing the international community taught jihadist terrorists in the last 8 months is that you can get away with the most horrific murders, including burning babies and raping young girls, as long as you hide behind civilian population. If you build your terrorist military base underneath hospitals and schools, you can get away with it. And that's a very dangerous lesson that terrorist groups all around the world are learning at this time. These groups on purpose are hiding at tunnels and military bases under very heavily populated areas with civilians. They are using them as human shields. More so, one of the hostages was held in an Al Jazeera reporter's home. His father, who was there as well, is a doctor.
Wow.
These are the kind of people that would broadcast to you news during the day, while at night they are holding hostages in their home, torturing them, starving them. Yet, some people in certain media outlets actually take their reporting as a matter of truth. This is like taking news from ISIS or from the Muslim Brotherhood. No one would believe them. But when it comes to Hamas, when it comes to Israel, when it comes, matter of fact, to Jews, then there's a different standard. Everything is allowed.
Sharren, Haskell, we're going to take a slight break. When we come back, we'll talk about the fact that the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in the region, and he's talking about a plan, a proposal that is to get an end to hostilities there in Israel, between Israel and Hamas. We'll be back with more in just a moment. And welcome back to America's Hope. I'm talking to Minister of the Knessett, MK Sharren Haskell. She's joining me from the Knessett in Jerusalem tonight. And Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Sharren, arrived in Egypt today on what is his 8th visit to the region. And it comes at a critical time in the Israel-Gaza conflict. As you know, the Biden administration is looking to increase pressure on both Hamas and Israel to agree to that always talked about ceasefire. And the visit follows a 3-phase ceasefire proposal reportedly from Israel, outlined by President Joe Biden on May 31st. And in that proposal, the report says that it is centered around achieving a permanent end to the conflict, as well as the release of all Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners. Plus, it focuses on the reconstruction of Gaza, which has been ruled by the terrorist group Hamas since 2006. Does this plan, and does the Israeli government support this plan? Hi, everybody. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far of America's Hope. If you'd like to see it in its entirety, just click on the link below. Thanks for watching.